Thank you. I worked on it for a while.
Welcome to the left.
Sorry.
I was finally going to get it right. Welcome to the Leftover Rewatch. I'm going to say it right now. The best television flashback episode in the history of television. There, I said it. I know Lost fans are going to go crazy, but this one, and I know we have Walkabout and everything else, but that had flashback on Island flashback. This was just a pure flashback, and it was just brilliant. And we keep saying this every week, and every week I say, well, you don't have to watch season 1. But this episode was brilliant.
All right, I'm gonna contend that. Do we consider that episode in HBO Watchmen that's shot in black and white as a flashback?
God.
It was the Hood of Justice episode.
Wasn't it more just a history lesson?
It was, but it was kind of her experiencing the memories of her.
I'm gonna stick with this. I'm gonna stick with this because I said it.
Yeah.
Conventional flashback episode.
Was the constant a flashback?
Yeah.
See, you're getting in gray territory. But this is a true flashback.
Yeah, a true flashback, and it was just, it was just brilliant.
Yeah, I mean that's undisputable. I mean, Lindelof knows how to do his flashbacks, isn't that right?
Yes, he does. He might do them too long.
You know, I actually watched a video that had, I don't want to get her name wrong, Lingenfelter on it. And they very specifically talked about what they wanted to do with these 3 episodes. And I was going to save that information for next week. But they knew the whole time before that the day, like the penultimate episode was going to be the flashback to the departure. It's like one thing they had, like when they started, they knew that was going to happen.
Well,
wow.
Let's get into this thing here because the title of this episode is The Garveys at Their Best.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts off with Kevin jogging, but it has a classic Lindelof where it has some obscure song that you're like, but you're like, you can't help but sing. It's what's it? King Marie?
The girl from King Marie.
The girl from King Marie. Who sang that? I mean, I was going to look it up and I completely forgot to do it.
You know what? I actually got a lot of information on the song. I think his name is Jody.
Jody Reynolds.
Jody Reynolds. Yes, yeah. Of course.
And it's a shame that Ethan isn't playing it for us right now on his guitar.
That's what I was trying to do when I found out this information I'm about to share. I was trying to play it on the guitar. It's like one of my favorite. It's one of the first ones on my like leftovers playlist because like, you know, it's a good song and it's good to start working out to and stuff like that. It's a good song.
And it's just such a contrast to the rest of the season, right?
Exactly. 100. It's almost like a preamble to Let the Mystery Be, right? It's like an upbeat song. But I didn't actually listen to the words or read the words till today. And I'll just read this 1 second part to you. Once upon a lonely, the sky was black and stormy. I was on my way to King Marie. A day of disaster. My heart was beating faster. I ran all the way to King Marie. There was a solitary tree standing in the meadow green where we would sit and pass the time away. Lightning flashed across the sky, and when I opened up my eyes, she was gone, the girl from King Marie. Nice. I love the girl from King Marie.
He was gone.
She was gone. Yeah.
So then we have Kevin running, and he stops. He looks at the mailbox. Now, did anyone think there were going to be cigarettes under the mailbox?
No, but
not first watch.
Obviously, we all second watch, we're all like going, okay, there's gonna be cigarettes. Yeah. But first watch is like, and then I go, what's the fanny pack for?
Is that where he keeps his phone that he's listening to, right?
Well, they had to distract you from the bulge from the first episode.
But you can't help but see it. It's like they might as well just put a bulge on it because it's like you try to look away and you can't. It's like,
you don't want to look away.
If
you're jealous, you are.
If I remember correctly, this is the time when they told him about the pilot, and they said because they were giving him underwear.
Right.
They were giving him extra underwear. And he said, well, why? And they're like, here's the deal. Okay, so here's the extra underwear. And yeah.
Well, why don't they just give him different color sweatpants?
Yeah. Huh?
Why don't they just give him different color sweatpants?
It wouldn't matter. The physics are just overwhelming.
Life finds a way, Jack.
Yeah, I guess they gave him the same outfit that Robin wore in Batman and Robin. But he sees a deer. But then he turns around. Someone honks the horn, right? There's a horn honk. And he turns back, and the deer is gone. Now, we've seen this before.
By the way, Jack, you had a good point in the original podcast, was that, and you might have been imagining this, but you thought that you saw some of the reflection of the light was the reflection of the balloon. And so that your theory was, it wasn't your crackpot theory, but your theory was that one of the reasons the deer went mad was because of that thing that's on its horns.
Yeah.
It was just messing with it, right? And
I forgot I said that, but yeah, that's would do it.
And so you would have evidence of that all the way in the first scene of the show.
Well, I guess I was right back then.
Probably.
In this one, you do see him passing two Asian women that are hanging out. In the pilot, you see him passing one Asian woman who is painting the face of another Asian woman on the side of the wall.
Oh,
nice
catch. But then he goes into a really nice house, because the first time we're watching this, we don't know it's a flashback.
Yep.
And I go, wow.
Well, that's my big question. The first time in watching it, did you guys really not know it was a flashback?
I didn't know it was a flashback.
Jack's theory was that it was a flash forward and that Nora had used some of the money to buy a nice house. And that theory is kind of 80% right. To buy an expensive house, I should say.
Yeah. Well, it is a nice, I mean, not that I'm materialistic, but I'd live there, right?
It's a little too modern for my taste, but it's all right.
But I wrote down flashback, but at first we probably all thought this was another Kevin dream.
I actually always assumed it was a flashback. I hate to be that guy. Like comic books.
No, I did too. I mean, the title also.
Yeah. So
yeah. Okay, whatever. I thought it was a flashback. But there's a crack in the wall. Now, does Lori see the crack above the painting? It's a crack in the wall. Does she see it? Because he's staring at the crack, and she's just going, "Are you going to make a picture, pick up the cake, da da da?" And she's going all about the surprise party, right? And he's staring at the crack, and she doesn't seem to care or notice. Was the crack there?
Wow, Lori doesn't seem to care. Wow, what a interesting character trait.
Well, if you got a crack in your house, you're gonna go, "What the hell is that?"
But if it's been there forever and you know about it and it's on your list of things to take care of,
and it's not urgent, then she wouldn't be.
But shouldn't she say, are you going to ever fix that crack, Kevin?
Yeah, you'd actually expect her to say something like this, the way the rest of the episode goes.
Yes.
She would expect her to say, "Well, Kevin, at least be honest about that you're not going to fix it."
Or stop staring at it unless you're going to fix it.
Now, she did say she don't forget about the puppy mill. We're going to get that our breeder. We're going to get a puppy, right? We're going to look at a puppy, and does Dog Killer need a puppy? That's what I'm. And does that why he brings that dog home with him? Mm-hmm. The barking dog that Jill let go last week. Is that why he brings the dog home?
I would say subconsciously that's the way that they're painting all this stuff, right? To attach some sort of meaning to what have been pretty random things up to this point in time.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. And then we see happy Jill, happy Lori. Jill is like, she's got her braids. I mean, they did a good job. Not that she's old anyway, but they did a good job making her look 3 years younger, if that makes sense. I mean,
sure.
And her acting, she did act younger and more chipper than she does in the regular season. Am I right?
She's a completely different person.
Yeah, they did the best job of making her seem much younger.
Yeah, she's happy. She's got her mom. She's got her dad.
Yeah, she hasn't invented Amy yet, so that's why she's happy.
Right.
Oh, don't even. She is listening to the Usher song called "Without You." I actually really like that song and have for a very long time before I saw the show. But yeah, interesting.
I thought the song was a flashback.
No. The song departed. We won't talk about it anymore.
Then we go to Nora. Her kids jump into bed. Her husband's there. The kids are jumping in bed. Nothing better than having young kids waking you up in the early morning, right?
Mm-hmm. Good times.
Yeah, and she's got an interview, and her husband's like, "Yay, high five, guys!" He doesn't really care, does he?
No.
He's a bit. Would you say he's a bit of a jerk?
Yeah, I feel like he's aloof. He doesn't pay attention to the kids. He makes Nora do all the work. That's seen here clearly. And I think he's not invested in any of the relationships.
Well,
yeah, I
agree. I stuck on this point. I was going to bring it up later, but I guess I'll bring it up now since we're talking about him now. I noticed a big parallel between him and Kevin.
Mm.
They're both perfectly happy cheating on their wives.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to, in their mind, what a man is, quote unquote, what a man is, he's a guy that's always home in that window to say goodnight to the kids, or will do anything to take care of the kids. The kids become the focus.
Except at the breakfast table.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm saying he wasn't interested in their lives. Not that he didn't care about them. Those two don't necessarily equal.
Maybe it was guilt that he comes home. Oh, let me talk to the kids.
Right.
Let me talk the kids in.
I would relate it to Lori. She mentions later, I didn't go to Jill's thing, or Jill said, you didn't go to my thing last year. I feel like it's the same parent. He's the male version of Lori in terms of like not paying that much attention to the kids, and Nora's doing all the work, kind of.
Again,
that's the impression I got.
I was totally annoyed by that. The fact that like he was like, the food's coming soon. When we get later in the episode, like the food will be here soon, while the kids are chanting and banging the table,
and she's waiting. And she's waiting for a phone call.
Yeah,
I mean, they kind of paint him as the prototypical or stereotypical salesman, right? Because what does he say later on in that scene? Sorry, I was late. One of the accounts fell apart, right? Which is salesman speak, right?
Right.
And the account that fell apart probably was something else, right?
Yeah.
But I would say like he seems very superficial, right?
Right.
And I mean, it's a nice gesture the way that he like fires up everyone at the breakfast table to cheer for mommy, and she probably loves that. I mean, it's wonderful. But at the end of the day, like he's not really doing much work at home.
No. Was it Ethan? Was you that brought up the similarity between Kevin and her husband?
Yeah.
Well, it's because they both probably feel trapped. They're probably not happy in their home life.
Yeah.
Right. That would be my guess.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we see Lori drinking a 7-Up. Quick question here: did the 7-Up depart with everybody else? I mean, when was the last time you saw anybody drinking a 7-Up?
October 13th.
Because I saw the 7-Up, I go, I can't remember the last time I had a 7-Up.
There was a bit of odd product placement in this entire episode.
Yeah, I mean, maybe 7-Up was trying to make a comeback or something. Seriously, I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
I'll crave like an orange Fanta like 3 times a year, and that's like the one time I have a soft drink.
Right, like Jay needs to have his Ecto Cooler once a year, no matter what, right?
Yeah, I drink Coke or something like that, but I drink ginger ale, and I used to drink Sprite, but I can't remember the last time I've had a 7-Up. Anyway, just throwing it out there. Lori needs to talk to her husband before her appointment because the lady calls and goes, you gotta make. Oh, I'm sorry, I got my daughter's science fair tomorrow. You need to come to the appointment. Your daughter doesn't matter. Get used to it.
Fuck your daughter. I'm sorry, I was quoting Nora.
That's what the departure said to Lori.
Yeah. And then we have Patty goes to see Lori, and Patty's just doom and gloom, right?
Did anyone notice her quote of the day? The foot feels the foot when it feels the ground.
Yeah. She was like, what?
Yeah.
When Jill and Kevin are in the car, Jill does say that he smells like cigarettes.
Right. He goes, wait, what?
And I thought it was funny because there's the scene where Jill says something. Kevin doesn't get it. He's not getting the video. And it's like, just laugh. Just laugh. Just pretend you get it. You know what I mean? He's like, I don't get it. And that's when she's kind of like, no, you don't. And it's like, she's a teenage girl. Just laugh at it. Like, you'll make her day. Just pretend you understand it,
But, I got to be honest with you, having 2 teenage girls, sometimes they know when you're fake laughing.
Oh, okay.
It's like,
yeah, this is from a non-parent perspective.
Yeah, it's like you try to be okay. I'll figure it out. And you're like, I don't get it.
But Caleb, I like what you brought up because one thing that this episode does very well is that it shows that even pre-departure, there were certain like roots that were seeds that were being planted that obviously see throughout the rest of the season. And there are all those scenes between Kevin and Jill where they just talk past each other or they're not in the same wavelength. And this is kind of like the more innocent comedic version of that.
I think it's I don't want to. It's normal because teenage girls. I'm just speaking from experience. Are hard to deal with.
Yep.
And there's just times that you just go because their hormones out of control and you just don't understand anything that's going on. It's best to go, Mom.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what's going on. I mean, there were times
can't do that with Lori. Lori's not a.
And again, that's the problem. Lori, Jill needed her mom, and obviously, I did the best I could, and as most fathers would do, you do the best you can in those situations, but sometimes you just can't relate,
of course,
to what's going on. I mean, but Kevin's got his own problems because he's not happy.
Well, yeah, I mean, Kevin is fairly a miserable person that doesn't seem like any fun to hang around with on October 13th.
No.
So, and that story just continues.
Well, then you have screaming at the school, the preschool. Now, why is Kevin hanging out at the preschool?
That's his assignment, probably, right?
He's just a lieutenant. Maybe he's got to hang out till like the bell rings, or
Or
here it comes.
Or was he
unintended?
Was he sleeping with the preschool teacher?
I think technically there's a mistake there. I think it says it's an elementary school.
Elementary school? Okay, those kids are a little big for elementary school, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Elementary school, the kindergarten teacher, whatever she is, first grade teacher, college professor, I don't know. But it just seemed odd that he was sitting outside. And we do know when Patty talks to Kevin, Lori told me everything about what your dirty dick did. So obviously the girl he's cleaning the gutters with later on isn't the only female he's been sleeping with, right?
We don't know. That's really not clear.
But how would Kevin's always said he's cleaned the gutters. He never tells Lori that he cheated on her, right?
Well, we don't know what happened between October 14th and when the season begins, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So we don't know. So why would Patty say that and Kevin doesn't deny it?
But doesn't Patty say what you did?
Yeah.
That implies.
I think maybe Kevin came clean about what happened during the departure with Lori.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is.
All right.
I mean, and by the way, that in that scene where he's walking through the school now and he sees all the broken glass and the blood and stuff like that, the woman that describes what it is, that's not the same actress or same character as the preschool teacher, right?
I don't think so. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
It very well could be.
All right. I have to go back and verify that.
Yeah, but the deer destroys everything, the classroom, everything. The deer just went crazy. Patty feels something terrible is going to happen. And Patty's not wrong. And Lori goes, you say this all the time. All the time, Patty. All the time. She's actually was being kind of condescending, wasn't she?
Well, that's just the way she talks.
Yeah, let's get it out of the way right now. When Lori is on her professional face, she's really hard to take, I think.
Yeah, I struggle with. There are some scenes where they portray her as a psychiatrist rather correctly, and then there are some scenes that's just like, no, this would never.
Well, it's almost like she's sick of dealing with Patty. And then you can see when they did a great job of showing that, there's always seems to be friction between Patty and Lori as GRs. Mm-hmm. That Patty's not that nice to Lori.
Yeah, I was thinking about that role reversal in terms of that, like, you could argue that, like, some of that, the way that Lori talked must have influenced the way that that Patty then, snapped at the other people.
Yeah, she seems like she's. I don't know what to say. She's like a know-it-all, or just.
Well, to be fair, we see Patty in this, and Patty seems very serious and very stressed out and very certain something's going to happen.
Yes.
Is she this serious and this stressed out about it every time she talks to Lori about it?
Yeah.
No, I think Lori has her own personal feelings getting in the way, and she doesn't want to deal with that right now. She's got other things on her mind.
But that's Lori's job, and her job coming across as an angry person or condescending is not going to help Patty get over what. I mean, I know it's a tough job. Listen to people complain all day long, but that's part of the deal. You signed up for it, and it's not tough love at this point. It's she's telling something and she cares about something, and you're basically just going, just drop it, move on to something else is basically what she's saying. And Patty doesn't want it. She's paying for it's her session.
It is. You're right. I will. We've talked about police brutality in the very beginning of the season because of the GR and the police and things like that. And I think this is a great point that you bring up, that Lori's profession is another one of those professions where you have to be on your A game like constantly, because it's going to be a life or death situation potentially. Whereas some jobs aren't as. You don't say the wrong thing and, whatever. But you do bring up a good point that their professions are kind of similar like that, where you can't afford to have a bad day,
Right. It's a tough job. Like I said, I'm not saying it's not something I'd want to do because I don't know how you don't take on the depression yourself. I mean, maybe you do. Maybe that's what Lori's done. Maybe that's why she becomes a GR. But there's a lot of things going on, but it would be hard to deal with that day in and day out. Because sometimes you probably don't see the results of your good work, right? And Patty, like I said, if she's doing the same thing over and over again, you're just like going, I'm not getting anywhere with her.
Yeah.
But also, I think the trained professionals in that position would also have compassion for their client and know that, this sucks that I'm having to listen to them over and over, but think of how much more pain this other person's in for whatever reason. You know what I mean? So I think they have more of an understanding.
Lori doesn't seem too compassionate, right?
No, not in this moment.
No.
And I think
in many other moments.
I think it would behoove us just to talk about just for a second. We start to get a fuller picture of Neil a little bit, and it's important to listen to things about Neil, I think.
Well, Neil's a dick. Let's because he threw her out of the house, told her to get out of the house, and Lori goes, "You shouldn't have left." He goes, "Well, he paid for it."
Then that's not how that works, and we all know how.
Exactly, but that's what. But I think that's what got Lori all flustered. It's because it's. But again, she's there to help, not put down. I do like that Patty tells Lori there's something wrong with you inside. Now, was she hinting at the baby, or is she just hinting that you have no soul?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That seems specifically harsh, for Patty to say about anything. So that's why I'm very curious if she sounded like this every other day.
Well, I think that she said it because Lori struck first.
Yeah,
and this could have been Patty's defense mechanism that it's human nature if someone insults you to try and get them back, right? I mean, you just insulted me. I'm gonna make you feel bad too. Mm-hmm. It's not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's what we do as humans. I don't know.
Agreed.
All right. I mean, in many ways, this was kind of the companion scene to the diner scene, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, except with the role reversal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, obviously, it completes it because she takes Lori's advice and implements it, right?
Yeah. And then we find Nora wants to work with the mayor's campaign. And she says, okay, what do you want? And she starts giving some bunch of crap. And she goes, no, cut the crap. Mm-hmm. What do you want? And she basically tells her, says, I don't want to be a mom, right? While I'm working on your campaign, she even says, for 4 weeks, it's like I won't have a family. Mm-hmm. Which I guess you'll regret saying later on.
Shouldn't have used that monkey paw.
But seriously, she goes, I don't want to have to see if I have the right organic juice box or what. I want to be alive again. Not that being a mom is not alive, but I think that's what she was saying. She wants to do something. And being a mom is challenging. I'm getting in a can of worms here because I have kids and taking care of kids. There's some days you want to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And
she wants something for her own.
Right.
Right now her husband has his thing. Hers is strictly like the house and the kids and all that. And, she wants something of her own, and I can't blame her for that. And I don't necessarily think that she's like, get me away from my kids, but I do think that she's operating on almost a single parent level where like all day she's present. The dad doesn't come home till at night. And it seems like this has been going on for a while.
Right. Yeah. So I had no problem with what she said. It just probably she thinks back, they departed, and she says, it's like, I won't have a family anymore. And, it's great writing, number one. Mm-hmm. And then she's doing her interview, Kevin Sr. walks in. Mm-hmm. And so he knows about the party. He says, yeah, you want to come to that shindig, what's it called? Shindig? Yeah. You want to come to that party with me?
He's got a great, Jack, he's got a great stash, huh?
He does.
He has a great stash.
He does. I mean,
in the flashback.
What is he, like 90 in this episode in real life? He's an older guy. I mean,
it's phenomenal.
But he's still got it. What are you going to say? Like they call him the Silver Fox, and they're not wrong. And then they're at the meeting, and Kevin's cup is leaking.
Yeah, and that's where that's the moment in the episode for me that I was like, this cannot be more, ominous. And it was just building up to that moment. And then with the cup, it just made me feel like, okay, the dam's about to burst. And it just made me very uneasy from there on out, even more so than what I already was.
But they have... But what's the cup? Did it have a crack in it? Did we ever, or it just? Do we see a crack in the cup?
The bottom of the cup.
Yeah, because he's looking at it and he's just kind of going. You think you would have saw a crack where it was dripping, but I didn't see it. But then Kevin says it's just one deer. He says, "Hey, we don't have to kill it. Get a tranquilizer gun," and they're all looking at him. And then he says, "F you, Lou."
No, it's just. He says it's just a theory, Chief. Maybe this thing's in heat and just wants to something the lieutenant. And without missing a beat.
Yeah. F you, Lou. So Kevin and Lou have never gotten along.
Yeah, I was gonna say you lost fans. Does this make like Lou Kevin's constant or something like that? I don't know how that system works, but it seems like that relationship doesn't really go through any changes.
Yeah, it just I don't think I'd want to hang around Lou either.
But by the way, my theory is, and I mean, we thought it was because Lou was passed up for promotion, right?
Yeah.
But I would go. It probably goes deeper to the fact that you can see, like in this scene, how I think they even have Garvey Jr. sit on one side of the room and everyone else is close to the chief, right?
Right.
Or that's the vibe that you get. So that Lou probably had this immense amount of loyalty to the chief, right?
Right.
And felt like that the apple didn't fall anywhere close to the tree, right?
Right.
That's a good point. I bet that's where the animosity comes from.
Yeah. And it's because they're Lou is in between junior and senior's age.
Right.
So that's probably what it's the subconscious. And of course that's why he's always ragging on Junior.
Yeah, I agree. And then that's when Kevin says we don't need to kill the deer, and he says, "Okay, look, if once we spot the deer, you got first crack at it. If you get there first, you can put him to sleep and capture him and set him free. If not, we're going to kill it."
And Ethan's brought up a good point, and this came up before when we were talking about the Patty and Lori scene, in the sense that we're getting a snapshot of all the things that happened right before departure. But in many ways, they're probably a reflection of the way that things were. There was a series of events. You could totally picture Kevin's career being in the shadow of his father,
right?
And kind of always doing things differently, and then his father kind of accommodating him, right? Like,
right.
Garvey Senior doesn't just say, we're doing it this way, just do it. He says, okay, fine. You want to do this? Do it that way, right? And everyone else there is looking around at Kevin Jr. and be like, God, why can't you just get with the system?
Just kill the damn deer. But does Kevin not want to kill the deer because he sees himself in the deer? The deer is trapped, and he feels trapped. And
I think this time it was a deer. Last week it was something else.
Yeah,
yeah. I think Kevin likes to think of himself as an altruistic, person, even though he does these things that are counter to that. Mm-hmm. And so an altruistic person would want to save the deer instead of just shoot the deer.
Yeah, and it ties into the talk that they have later on, where he's basically telling him, "Look, you got to stop thinking of life in terms of like almost like movies and damsels in distress and these fairy tales. That's good, Just get, what did he say? Cut this S out, right?
Yeah, I probably have it written down somewhere, but it's
cut the S.
Yeah, I lost track of what I was going to say. But no, are people in this, because we're seeing a lot of people that seem like they're happy, mm-hmm. but are people pretending to be happy, that they're not really happy, that they weren't, they're all depressed, doom and gloom after the departure, but were they the same way before the departure?
I mean, that's the thing with Kevin for sure, and the Garveys. Like the Garveys at their best are them putting up a front for other people.
Right there.
Right. But a lot of people seem that way though, that they're putting up a front.
No, but like when Matt comes out of the office and they got the good news, him and Mary are genuinely happy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you find out you don't have cancer, I guess that. But
when the other people are dancing at the party, they look genuinely happy.
I was about to say, like almost everyone that you encounter there is okay. Let's put.
Well, there was alcohol at the party.
I mean, Lou was the only one being honest.
And Mary was happy because she had some lines.
Yeah.
All right, we're not at the party yet.
Okay. Tommy calls Kevin, and Tommy's arrested. And there's, he goes, it's, one cop to another, just saying, okay, hey, your son. And I think he was justified in this. But we found Kevin he finds out the guy hit him in the back, that did something to him, hit him in the back of the head or something. He goes, did he touch you? Right. So now I'm like going, okay, what did this guy do to Tommy? I mean, I'm going back and forth with it. And then Kevin goes to the dude's house, and then Kevin punches the guy and says, if you ever touch my boy again, I will kill you. And the other kid, his other kid is just sitting right there. You feel bad for the other kid. The dad goes, it's okay. It's all right.
And Kevin has that classic, I know I effed up, but there's nothing I can do to fix it. Look. Yeah. Well, that becomes hallmark of the rest of the series.
Well, is he upset because he's not happy, but he stayed and raised his kid and as his own, which is a great thing, and then also raised his own kid and stayed with the thing. This guy just said, "Screw it, I'm out of here." Is it resentful? Does he not respect the guy? Which could be more? There was more than just him hitting Tommy that led to him threatening to kill him.
I mean, it's the whole thing. Like they recently told Tommy that he was adopted. Kevin is not happy with the fact that they told him.
Right.
And now he has this whole other thing to deal with. I think Jay and Jack did mention it in the first podcast that they live ridiculously close for that kind of situation. Like, if you're going to have another family and leave them for a new family, you should probably go to another zip code.
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin's just taking it all out, the guy.
And Jack, you did a good job in the original podcast of illustrating how this in many ways is the central tension between Kevin and Lori, in that he didn't, reading between the lines, you posit that he didn't want to tell Tommy this, right?
Right.
Not because in some level it felt like it was being something that was taken away from him.
Yeah.
And Lori with her just, aggressive, ultra honesty, right?
Yeah. Well, I do this for a living. We have to do it my way.
Yeah. And that's where, in many ways, you can see almost like the seeds of the guilty remnant being formed here.
Right.
In terms of this, like, extreme austerity, right?
But again, it would suck if Tommy believed, and then you tell him how old is Tommy now? 17, 18?
He's a college boy.
College boy. So he's 18 or 19. Mm-hmm. I think it was. Does he? You go back and forth. Does he have the right to know? But if you're going to tell him, I would tell him early in life, not late in life. Again, I don't want to judge people that it's a tough situation either way, but in this one, obviously, like we've been saying, it wasn't Kevin's idea.
When I was watching this scene again, the thing that kept coming to mind was, I almost feel like this was written for all the reasons that we discussed, but also to show like that almost unhinged aggressive side of Kevin was there pre-departure.
Right.
Like that anger was really inside of him, right?
Yeah. He was just ready to burst. And then we find out Gladys is a dog breeder, and she says you can have the dog but can't hit it with rocks, right? Is that what she said? Can't throw rocks at the dog? No, nothing.
There was
too soon.
No, but she does say that the puppies can be away from the mother because they just don't need her anymore.
Yeah, I like that line.
Yeah.
There's also a line with Tommy and Kevin because Tommy is saying that he shouldn't get to pretend like it never happened.
Right.
His father. And then Kevin says, sometimes you have to pretend.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is very, very telling.
Yeah.
He is his mother's son.
Which makes me wonder why he didn't join the guilty remnant. Tommy.
Yet. Oh, sorry.
Spoilers! Minus 10 points.
He did go off to find his own spiritual answer, though.
It's true. I mean that explains the Holy Wayne fate that he had. Well, that's a spoiler too.
Yeah, and the Jude.
And then we have Lori's crying and she's holding the puppy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she just because she knows she can't tell Kevin, and we go back to the friction because of what had happened with them telling Tommy.
By the way, there's some irony here because one thing that Lori keeps talking about to Kevin is just to be honest.
Yeah.
And why hasn't she said anything yet?
Because Lori does what Lori wants to do.
Yeah, Lori's not great at a person thing.
Yeah, she's probably not good at following her own advice.
Yeah.
By the way, Jack, I would have expected you to do more of a Lori imitation because the one you did in the original podcast was dead on.
Oh, was it?
That's fantastic.
I'll have to go back and listen to it. I don't remember.
Did you like how Gladys was like, it's completely natural. Puppies don't need their mom anymore. I was like, Lori took that to heart.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
She even says she's a terrible mother.
Well, yeah, in the next scene, like, pure words.
Yeah, you have Jill she's talking to her mom, and her mom says, "I'm sorry, I can't make your science. I got an appointment. I can't change."
And she's like, "Oh, yeah, it's cool. You didn't come last year either."
Yeah, and she goes, "I'm a terrible mom, aren't I?" But it wasn't a sincere "I'm a terrible mom," is it?
No,
was it? It was almost like she was talking to Patty. Very condescending. And Jill goes, "No, you're the best mommy ever." And then Kevin walks in. "Yeah, she's the best mommy ever. Look what I got. I got Tommy." And he says, "Yeah, his car broke down. That's why he's here." And Tommy goes, "Yeah, that's what happened. Like my car broke." He's not a good liar.
What's nice about the scene is you already see that that really additional affection that she has for her son.
Yeah, there's a major difference in how she treats Tommy.
Yeah, you can already see it in this moment.
Yeah.
I like to point out that Tommy and Jill greet each other with the lines, "Looking good, Billy Ray. Feeling good, Lewis."
Yes.
From Trading Places. And Dean and Kevin had the bet over the dog for $1.
For $1, yeah.
Oh, nice catch.
Nice catch there. You're on your A game today, Ethan. But I'm not awarding points today, so sorry.
I only did this for the points. I'm out of here.
Here comes the surprise party. The Silver Fox has arrived at the door. Surprise! And he's like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!" Even though because he's just a Lou, find a place to hide. He already knows. F you, Lou.
And it's like a chorus that's saying it.
He says it to the soon to be mayor later.
Yeah, he does.
It's like, F you very much.
And the neighbor lays it on Kevin. She's like, wow, you're got a really nice house here. Your wife does very well for herself.
Yeah.
And then I write, Mary speaks. I didn't write down what she said. I just said, oh, she said something.
Yeah.
And then we go back to Nora's house. Jeremy needs less sugar. The younger girl's trying to pray. He's jumping all over the place. He's just crazy. And Nora's like going, okay, just go to the other room. I need a break.
You exploded my mind when you said that he needed less sugar.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, she says maybe the deer lost. The kid said maybe the deer lost her family.
Yes, I have that written down.
And she said also make sure you keep the light off. I'm not scared anymore.
All right.
And when she sang her prayer, she said, "Thank you, God, for mommy and daddy."
Yeah, I read here that the deer lost its family. I'm like, ooh. And Nora says, "Don't worry, it's never coming back again."
By the way, the
She
little girl,
promises she's safe.
the little girl mentions the dog's name, and I guess that's the Bubba that Nora was talking about.
Oh yeah.
It was.
Yes.
And we never know what happened to Bubba. Loose thread.
Oh.
Here's a question I had from before.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that? I know that Gladys had a thing with her son, but do you think that Gladys, like the dogs, saw the departure and freaked out, and maybe that's one of her reasons why she went into the guilty remnant? That's one of the major things she lost was the dogs.
Maybe the mom started eating all the kids or something, or
well, no, I mean the dogs ran away. They're not our dogs anymore.
You know, Ethan, that's a great theory for me to poop on.
Or in Patty's words, well, I guess I need to shit them out.
Yeah.
Those thoughts. Lori, you have those thoughts in your head. Patty, well, I guess I need to shit them out, Lori.
By the way, this is obviously the Leftovers rewatch after dark.
Yeah.
So
yes. Well, yeah, there's going to be a few choice words in this episode.
Yeah.
Everyone is so happy at the party. I wrote that down. Everyone, except Jill. She's like, "What is this music?" And she goes, "Music is whatever Kevin says to her." He goes, "Go take the ice to the bar or whatever."
It's been chosen by old people. Who chose the music? Old people.
Old people. That's what it was.
At this point, I'm like, gosh, it is so nice to see Jill in such a good mood. It's so refreshing to see her happy. You know, at least we know there's problems with the family and, you know, there's underlying issues. But, like, she's genuinely a funny video makes her happy. A song makes her sing out loud. That is not the Jill we're accustomed to.
Well, and kudos to the actress, because I don't know if she's one of those method actresses where they get into their character and they just stay in that character. Because 8 episodes, this was the 9th episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so for 8 episodes, she just, and this episode, she's happy. I thought it was a great job. And we don't think about how hard that is to reverse, especially a young actress. We're not talking about Al Pacino or, Meryl Streep, someone like that. It's, she's just starting out.
Or Amy Brenneman for that fact.
Yeah, exactly.
All of them. I mean, It shows the trauma, how completely changed a person becomes after dealing with such a big trauma in their lives.
Right.
Like the only one that's not different is Kevin. He's kind of the same.
Yeah, he is. And then Matt gives a toast. He said the only reason he nominated him because he couldn't nominate himself. And then Kevin gives a speech, and it's all about family.
And it sucks. And people can see through it. His father can see through it. His wife can see through it.
So then I wrote down, everyone is happy but Kevin.
Yeah. And he's watching everybody be happy.
Yeah.
And he's just like, he's got this
What's wrong with me?
Yeah. But that happens in life. We all have stretches where we're just not happy. I mean, things happen and you just can't shake it, right? I mean, I've been there.
You could argue that he probably has some sort of form of mild depression, right?
Right.
He's definitely suffering from some form of mental illness. That is like a fact.
Like, I mean, I was hesitant to say that, given that I'm not a psychologist, and you're not supposed to diagnose people unless you've actually spoke to them. But since this is a fictitious character and this is all the information we're getting, I would assume that there's some sort of, putting aside everything that happens throughout the rest of the series, if you just looked at him at this point in time, October 13th, and everything that you know about him up to this point in time, you would think, yeah, this guy probably has a condition.
Do you think the problem is that Lori kind of runs the show and she makes the decisions? I mean, it's obviously she paid for the house.
No, let's take that aside. I mean, just like the fact that he's aware of that he's got a wonderful family, he's got 2 kids that love him, he loves them, and
right.
No marriage is perfect, right?
No.
But the fact that he has all these great things and yet he feels like there's something missing.
Yeah, he can't.
Or something's wrong. That in itself, when he says it, I think there's something wrong with me. And his dad says, yeah, I think you're right.
Because we forgot to mention, you guys mentioned earlier about the mayor and Kevin. The mayor says something about the reason he has the house is because of Lori, right? Something like that. Mm-hmm. He goes, F you, mayor.
Says, well, fuck you very much.
Yeah. And she's like, better respect me when I'm mayor. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm sure I won't.
Yeah. They've always had a funny relationship, right? Kind of a
it's all of his relationships are overshadowed or foreshadowed by his relationship with his dad.
Yeah, let's talk about that now.
Yeah, his dad catches him smoking, and he said, I thought you quit. He goes, and he goes back and forth, and that's when his dad tells him, go ahead.
You have no greater purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, it's almost like it comes out of left field, but let's take a step back. Let's not think about anything that happened in the prior 8 episodes. If you think about the 9th episode just as a short story, it makes sense because you see this person who's, again, has a nice family, is materially really well off. Okay. So the lieutenant in the police force, local department, got everything and yet is unhappy. And then the dad is telling him all this stuff, right?
Right.
Like, stop thinking like there's something more out there, right? He could have said it a little bit better, like in the sense that he could have emphasized that, look, you have already so many great things, right? Why do you still feel like you need to look for something else, right? But he describes it in such a negative way.
Yeah, well, he ends it with, he tells Kevin, just cut the shit.
Yeah.
And if someone's feeling that way, that's not going to help. Right? I mean, if someone said that to me, I'd be like, F you, Lori. That's what
but the speech that Kevin gives is basically saying that about his father too. Mm-hmm. Right? Because he's like, something, most fathers do something, but you did yours on your own terms, and now look at what I have.
Right.
I mean, he's saying a nice thing in a terrible way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
But to me, one of the main takeaways are from, besides parsing the individual words, was you can see, like, in the body language, the chemistry between these two, how much Kevin reveres his father, right?
Right.
In terms of, like, not just as a father, but as an individual, right? How much he respects what he's achieved, so that it makes it. In many ways, I felt like I couldn't really appreciate or understand the diner scene from 2 episodes ago,
right?
Until you saw this scene, right? Because where Kevin says, "Dad, what happened to you?" Right? It is the exact inverse of what we're seeing here, right?
Well, his dad was his hero.
Exactly. And now we see why. And I guess, Caleb, what is it always that you say about showing, not telling, or telling, not showing? I forget which one you say.
Yeah, how the common rule in film is to show, don't tell. And I feel like the show does the opposite.
And I would
tell us things and not actually show it.
What I would argue is almost like we're being told the story in reverse. Like, we can't really understand a lot of the scenes until we saw this episode.
Right. And that's why, like, one of my famous railback things I always do is I always talk about how Mike Bloom came on one of the shows and said he suggests for people to get into Leftovers that they watch this episode first.
Interesting. And
then watch the rest of the season. And I'm still I'm still taken aback and aghast every time I think about anyone doing that. I like it.
Well,
it's cheating.
It's cheating.
But I think doing that though, again, we keep talking about you got to try and get people into the show. So you're trying to think of anything you can, because we love the show.
Yeah.
But not everybody will even give it a try, and because I hear it's depressing. I hear so you try different things to get the people to watch the damn show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you do stuff like that, Jack, and then people don't get to play along for like week 2 to week 7 to figure out who Kevin was cleaning the gutters with, right?
Very true.
Why would you reveal one of the most important points of season 1 in the first episode?
Very true. We got Lori comes in the bedroom, and she says, "We should hold off getting a dog." Kevin goes, "No. Let's get the dog. You want the dog? Let's get a dog." Yeah, and here was a perfect opportunity for her to tell Kevin that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And for him to say, "I don't want a dog."
Yeah, exactly. Neither one was being honest with each other.
Right.
And then we have Kevin sitting. He's sitting at bed. He's just looking at the clock.
The next morning, this is one of the scenes that really stood out to me when I did the rewatch or whatever, was this shot right here. I'd never noticed it before. That's like him in the morning.
Yeah.
Just waiting for the clock to turn to 6.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that guy's really, really, really extra miserable.
Well, he probably didn't sleep. When you're not sleeping, and we've probably all been through this, when you're not sleeping, you can't be happy, because it's a grind. I mean, I had years ago, I had trouble sleeping, and it was like I'd be up on playing video games till 6 o'clock. Oh, I got to get up in an hour. Oh, okay, great. Because I can't sleep anyway. It was a nightmare. So I'm going to back Kevin up on this one, because it looked like he hadn't slept. But it was 5:58, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Lori asked Kevin, there's something, and then Tommy, he says, "I'm going to go for a run." And Tommy, Lori walks into Tommy's room. They're talking back and forth. She's rubbing his head. He goes, "Yeah, I went to go see Michael." And she's like, "You went to go see Michael?" So she's not.
Still really an uncomfortable scene, given the age of the actor. It's just still a really weird scene to watch.
Oh, with Tommy like half naked there, and they're like really close. Yeah. Oh, admiring his tattoos.
Yeah.
Is this a new one? Anyway. Yeah, it's rough to watch, but it's the leftovers. It's okay. Yeah, Kevin runs to the same song, and then he stops to smoke.
Well, also Tommy asked Lori if he should just forget about his dad, and she says that as a trained professional, it doesn't work like that. Mm-hmm. And I think it's interesting because the GR don't want to forget what happened.
Yes.
And everyone else is trying to go back to normal, day-to-day activities like nothing happened.
So has Lori been wrong all these years? No. Yes. No.
Okay. That's a good question. It's a personal thing. It's a really personal thing. I could never let the kid go past a certain age, knowing that they were adopted. They're going to want to figure it out at some point. So
then a car pulls up as Kevin's sitting there and said, "Are you ready?" He goes, "What? Excuse me, what?" And then the lady turns to someone in the back, goes, "Oh, sorry," and then drives away. Then you see the manhole cover kind of moving, and then poof, up it goes, and down it comes.
And you get the two most Lindelof things in the entire show in a row. Right.
Which are?
The ladies. I mean, the ladies, what's the deal with them? We still don't know.
No.
And we never will. And, he said it was the manhole cover from some gas. Some work they were doing. But still, I mean, they carried that forward with earthquakes later and stuff like that. But it was kind of an out of nowhere, like something to make him forget to cover up the smell of the cigarettes, I guess.
Yeah. Then he runs home and tells Lori. He's all excited to tell Lori the story. And Lori's like, "Yeah, okay." And then Lori knows.
Pissed me off. I was like, he's trying to tell you that he literally almost died.
Right.
And got hit by that.
Did you smoke?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, he goes, I don't care if you smoke. You're the one that decided to quit."
Yeah.
But I'm sure she had a hand in pushing him towards quitting smoking.
I'll go ahead and let my fuck you, Lori, be here. There you go. Because that really pissed me off when she was like ignoring the fact that huge thing, manhole cover, almost killed him.
Yeah, she didn't hear a word he said after she smelled him.
What's that?
She didn't hear a word he said after she got that scent of the cigarettes.
No.
Yeah.
And then they're going back and forth. She goes, "Why didn't you tell me about Tommy?" He goes, "Well, I didn't think it." Now, did he not tell her about Tommy because Tommy's an adult, right? Tommy, he's off to college. He's an adult. It's up to Tommy to tell. That's what he said, or is he just resentful because she told Tommy the truth? Which one do you think it is?
Resentful. That's what I think.
But then she tells you, just tell me the truth. Just be honest with me. He goes, "You want me to be honest? I don't want a dog. I don't want this. I don't want that." He's going on and on and on and on. And he goes, "Oh, I got to go. The deer is, oh, yeah, Kevin, because you're like the deer. You're trapped." Fuck you, Lori. And that's the last thing he says to her before the departure.
Yeah.
She said it's trapped. Better go save it.
By the way, I mean, let's put this in perspective. I mean, we can see like how much tension there was here. Okay. And it's obviously
it's been building up,
and it's persistent, right? And I mean, it's just taking the scene, the way that she talks to him, where she says, "You're the one that wanted to quit. Just be honest this time, right?"
Yeah.
Okay. So that there's just like this denigrating tone. So then we have to ask ourselves, like, the first few episodes of the show were all about him trying to get her back.
Right.
And so it's kind of like that. I'm having a hard time like resolving these two
Why would he want her?
Yeah, I mean, obviously part of it is the guilt for what he did wrong, because he does have some sort of a like his dad said, this complex of, saving damsel in distress, right? Which, Jack, you posited was one of the reasons why he even probably became involved with her in the first place. Saving her from the situation of whatever it was with the other guy and with the small boy, right?
Right.
Coming in to swoop in like the hero. But it is strange. I mean,
now is going back to the crack in the house. Is Kevin seeing a crack in the house because he feels like there's a crack in the family relationship that maybe
he doesn't.
Yeah, there is.
Else sees it.
Yeah, that's because we know his dad. He sees things that aren't there. So is he just looking at this crack, going, "Okay, this house is divided. There's a crack in the foundation of our family."
I mean, you could also
argue that there's a crack there that Lori doesn't see because all she sees is Tommy.
Well, the fact that she points out to Kevin, what about lying or whatever, and she said this time, implies that she's keeping score, and she's still holding on to things that have happened in the past, that she's still not resolved with him. She's not working on herself.
Right.
Which is weird. As a therapist, she should be able to recognize these signs, more clearer than other people would. But
yeah, but she's not being honest with, like you said, she's not being honest with herself. She's not being honest with Kevin. She's not being honest with anybody. Only Patty sees through her.
Yes, good point.
And the thing is Patty actually see through her? Or is Patty a person that rants and raves, and everybody that rants and raves,
I would say no, just because we see Patty as the leader of the GR, and she's very smart and she always seems like she's one step ahead of what's going on. She might be. I just think she's one of those people that's very smart, very keen on. She just got dumped by her husband, and she wasn't able to accept it.
But if someone tells you every day that the world is going to end or suffer a big catastrophe, and then randomly the world suffers a big catastrophe, does that make that person?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
a lucky person.
It's lucky. But I'm saying it's like when the GR, Kevin had a plan to have the GR come into the schoolyard, and they didn't. She was one step ahead. She was, sure. everything she did, she was smarter than Kevin. She was smarter than townspeople. She was smarter than the mayor. she's smart at what she knows what she's doing.
Well, you can compare her to even Locke in some ways.
Yeah.
That his purpose was, I'm on the island, I can walk. That's all I'm focused on. Wow, I was supposed to go on that walkabout. I was right. This is me, and here she is having these feelings all the time, and has just told her therapist something humongous is coming. Of course, that's going to be her call of, I was right, I knew it, and then that's going to be her calls. So that's her calls, and you can kind of, see it from there.
And maybe that's why Lori joins the GR, because she told her something bad was going to happen, and then she knows.
Yeah, she knows Patty was, whether she did it on purpose or knew what she was doing, Patty was correct, and that there was a big thing coming.
Randy asks, "Who is Jill's biological father, Kevin or the other guy?" It's Kevin.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Which may be why Lori isn't as close to Jill, because she doesn't like Kevin or Jill or many other people. I don't know.
Let's see. We go to Kevin stops at the house because the deer is there. He gets his tranquilizer gun. He's all set to, and that deer is doing some damage.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great scene.
It is a fantastic. It scared me.
It's the scene in the home where I believe it's the man who has Down syndrome.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the deer has knocked over all the change, that they were collecting, that I brought up in an earlier episode. There was that shot that panned when Nora was interviewing them, because we know that he did depart. And then I thought it was great that Kevin was like, "Y'all gonna have to get out of here," and she's like, "No, we're not."
That's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for listening. You're just like my wife.
Spoiler alert: only 2 of you guys will survive the next day.
But then Kevin goes in the house. Let's see. The deer plows through the door, and then gets hit by a car.
You said survive. Are you implying that the departed died when they departed?
Let's not mince words. Let's move on.
Yeah. What were you saying with that? No.
I mean, this is crucial moving forward. I need to know.
But I do like the fact that Kevin shoots the deer to put it out of its misery. And then that's when he finds the balloon stuck, saying it's a girl. So was that saying that he was going to him and Lori were going to have a girl, or what?
Yes. Okay. That's what the writing was saying, for sure.
Okay. All right.
Without a doubt.
It's also Christine's last words in the last episode we saw her in.
Oh, good point. God. You should really be giving out points, because Ethan would just be demolishing us right now.
All right, Ethan, you're up to 3 points.
Yeah, about -8 right now.
Let's see. I've lost my track. Oh, the mother with the baby drives
window's still open,
and the window is still open. So there you go. Driving with the window open, it's not safe for the baby to have the window open. Anything could fly in that car. You shouldn't have the window open next to a baby.
Well, just the sunlight. It would be their skin's so sensitive, and I know that.
Exactly. There you go.
The sun could boil the top of that head in the soft spot, and something could come out.
Yeah, even Lori was looking over, going, "That's a bad mom," and I should know because I'm a bad mom.
I have some ideas on what Lori was thinking in that moment. I'll save those for after.
Okay.
Yeah. Mary
talks with Lori even more. It's like, oh my God, she's actually said more than she said in the West Wing. Am I right? No, Ethan, no.
No. She talked a lot in the West Wing every episode.
By the way, these first 3 words, like where she goes, "Hi, Mary Jameson," and Lori goes, "Of course, hi." They're really emphasizing the fact that like Lori is just really distant. Like she should know who Mary is. Like Mary feels like she has to say Mary Jameson as if to say,
I was at the party.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just like you could see like Lori's either so aloof or just out of her.
And they had come over for barbecues in the past.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So
also, it's weird that the OBGYN and the oncologist have the same.
That was weird.
Room. So.
Do we believe? Do we believe her when she says? When the nurse is like, "Is your husband? Is this his child?"
I said, who is she to ask that? All the people that Lori gets mad at, if someone had said that to me, I would have said more than just yes. We're getting ahead of ourselves here, but I thought that was completely uncalled for. No, am I the only one who thought that?
It was weird.
It was weird.
Well,
It's a weird
yeah.
question.
I think, but I would argue that you could say the medical professional might have gone down that path of questioning based on the way that Lori was reacting.
Yes.
That Lori was hiding something or uncomfortable with something.
But again, it's not her. She doesn't need to know. It's not a question you should ask. That's a personal question. It doesn't matter who the father is. Just let me know if the baby's healthy.
But if Lori keeps putting it off and saying I have to talk to my husband,
right?
Again, you can think that.
Right. I mean, she totally broke protocol, the doctor, whoever. But like, do we think Lori was telling the truth?
I think so.
Or was she lying, and is she cleaning other gutters?
I'm gonna say that she was probably lying.
That we're unaware of.
Yeah.
So you think she's lying? Do you think the baby is Kevin's?
I don't think the baby was Kevin's.
Ooh, okay.
I don't know who it could be. Maybe Matt. I don't know.
Well, we've already established, if we're going to have this, moving forward, we know about people telling stories and things. That's really important. And if we believe them with what they say, we need to know, are we taking what Lori says at face value? Which characters are we taking?
I mean, there's so many different ways you can look at why she wasn't telling Kevin. She was not telling Kevin because there's friction. She knows Kevin feels trapped. She's not going to like the baby. Is she going to keep the baby? She hadn't decided if she's even going to keep the baby.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it gives you a lot of options.
I think she decided she's going to keep the baby as soon as she heard that heartbeat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, the reason why she's not telling Kevin is because the father's obviously Lou. So let's move on.
Yeah. Let's see. We got Kevin and the woman smoke before they clean the gutters. That's something new. And she grips out a cigarette. Sorry, I have it. He goes, can I have one? And then Kevin volunteers to take her back to the hotel. And then Nora's stressing out, and then we go to the science fair. Everything's just going crazy. And then Tommy, whatever up here, Tommy notches.
It's also important that Matt comes out and Mary says she'll drive and you can celebrate and you can be the one that gets drunk.
Yep.
Right.
And that's Mary's driving the car.
Right. Exactly. Because everything's fine with him. Tommy noticed there was friction. Hey, what's going on between mom and dad? There seems like friction. And she goes, well,
Dad's probably going to leave.
Dad's probably going to leave.
Yeah. So they know.
Yeah. And she asked Kevin, the woman asked Kevin, they're outside the hotel, are you a good guy? And Kevin goes, no, I'm not. So she goes, well,
and she obviously didn't care if he was good or bad.
Yeah, she goes, come on up. Lori is pregnant. She sees she has, that's when it hasn't told her husband yet. She sees the baby. Then we have the music montage, which I thought was fantastic.
Which is not actually on the Leftover soundtrack. If anyone knows, this is another Max Richter piece called November. That was on an album before he did the Leftovers.
Is that on the Blue Notebook?
Is that what it's called?
I think it's on the Blue Notebook. Yeah.
Something like that.
But we skipped over the fact that intermingled with this are the scenes from Nora's breakfast.
Right. Well, Nora's she's trying to get things done. She's expecting a call, and she goes, "No phones at the table." Of course, the husband will go, "You're on your phone." Well, I'm waiting for an important call. You're playing a video game. You're playing a game.
Right here.
Sorry, Nora's husband is basically the J of the week.
Well, it's like that's the one time she's on her phone, not doing everything for the kids.
But again, why would you? Again, Mike Bloom, why would he even recommend watching this episode first? Because it's like we're watching this scene.
Edgar's not going to sleep tonight.
We're watching the scene of.
He said it 4 years ago. I'm still mad. Anyway, go ahead.
We're watching the scene of the chaos of the breakfast kitchen, and Nora's stressed because she's waiting to hear if she's going to get this job. And meanwhile, we are seeing everything that we're looking for. We're seeing the cereals, we're seeing the juice, we're seeing the paper towel just hanging there by its last fiber.
Because Nora needs this. Mm-hmm. She needs this job. and the husband just doesn't care. That's when the kid spills the orange juice. She gets pissed, saying, "Well, I told you 2 hands," and you know.
More importantly, Jack, we the viewer needed to see all this.
We did.
We waited 8 episodes for this.
Not if you watch this one first.
Yeah, if you're lazy Mike.
I think it's really heartbreaking that Nora's last thing she's going to hear of her kids is probably her daughter crying, which she was, and maybe her kid like screaming for more.
Yeah, the last thing she said was, "God damn it, I said 2 hands."
Yeah, she yelled. She was pissed at her husband. She yelled at her daughter. She's just so stressed out. And then Kevin I said, well, you know, and then, okay. And then you hear a scream, and that's when people start departing. And Lori's baby has departed. Scene.
And there's no music.
Yeah, so...
Well, Kevin, like, really gets in there with the gutters, though.
Yes, he does. Well, I said, Kevin, well, you know.
And the circuit at the, you know, science thing broke.
Yeah. That would be because, you know, Kevin's situation, he's lifting up the sheets going.
I love that.
He's like, what the hell just happened there? You know, did everything go? Okay, I'm still good.
And if he thinks he's going crazy, like it's much better if you're in the school and everyone sees all these people disappear at once.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you all see it. But if you're just Kevin in the room and you think you're going crazy anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, you make a great point, Ethan, because now it sets up, you know, we're about to go back to where we came from, which was the whole situation with Cairo, right? And like Kevin, a cop, was with a woman who disappeared, who's not his wife, in a hotel. He immediately could become a suspect.
Right. Yep.
So there's a certain duality there, which I like.
But also, he does see things. He's probably wondering at the time, did this even happen?
Mm-hmm.
Was she even real? Was there a deer? Was there, you know, the whole deer being there, not there? So, yeah, it's great television.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Nora's looking at the juice still spilling off the table and the cup rolling, I'm like, gosh, that's just devastating.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that she was 99% of the time she's you know playing with her kids, having prayer, all this different stuff, and the one time she goes and just loses it, something happens where she can never take it back.
Mm-hmm. And with the image there of the juice spilling and the cup rolling, it just makes you want to, grab it, before it's gone, and just having that massive feeling on that grand of a scale. Well, you really get that in that scene.
Yeah, you're making a great point because it was just dripping down really slow and it's just like slow motion. And you're like going, oh my God. I mean, it's just gut wrenching.
So it's interesting that, I mean, she had that routine where she kept buying the same stuff over and over and replacing it, right? And obviously there's a lot of remorse there, right? A lot of guilt there.
Right.
So in some ways, like she was doing to herself what the guilty remnant were trying to do to other people, right?
Right. But that's different. You can, it's okay to do it to yourself, right? It's not okay for someone else to do it to you.
Right.
Yeah, and they were trying to recruit her, and I think someone with a less analytical mind would have been, in her situation, would have been swayed by them to join.
All right, Caleb, I've got one for you.
Oh,
this is a stretch. And Ethan, you can use that Triumph the Dog line on me after I say my theory.
I would never do that to you, Eckhart. Go ahead.
I would.
Remember, 2 hands, she drops the cup, right? The little girl does. And one of the first scenes we see of Nora in the coffee shop, she drops the cup.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
With a cracked mug.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like, the mug also.
That's a
wow.
I mean, like I said, it's a stretch, and I mean, we're looking for things that Lindelof probably didn't even think of.
Well, at this point, Ethan had 3 points. Eckhart, you just got 5 points for that.
Oh wow! I'll see you guys next week.
Stop on your head, yeah.
I didn't even think about that. That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
All the stuff I have is like parallels to future episodes, so I don't know if you'll get into that or not.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
The thing that just came to me now is now that we know, like
Nora knocking the cup off.
right before that, Nora's last words to her kids.
The two hands.
That's gonna come back in a big way if you remember those words in Lens when her and Erica are having that conversation.
Oh yeah.
And he says, what were the last words? Did your children depart or were they killed? They departed. Well, what were the last words you said to them? I don't usually think about this when I watch that scene, but I'm going to this time.
Can I ask a question? If the kid has trouble drinking, needs to use two hands, shouldn't she have like a cap on it and like make it like a sippy cup?
Well, the damn husband's supposed to be paying attention and helping them.
I'm not blaming Nora on this one, but if the kid's still spilling their drink, then you gotta protect yourself.
Well, beforehand, Nora literally said, if you want to use the adult cup, you have to use both hands.
Right.
So
it's a transition period.
Yeah. So you shouldn't be using.
No, she shouldn't keep her phone over there. That's really what the point is.
So we're blaming Nora on this one?
We will not be blaming Nora at all during this whole podcast.
Okay. I agree with that.
I'm just kidding.
For now. All right, let me go here. Kevin and
Juliet, but not Nora.
Kevin and Lori fight the "fuck you, Lori." That's mine. They echo that next season with John and Erica.
Yes.
Exactly. At one of the meetings at the drop seminar that Nora went to was prenatal departure.
Right.
Oh yeah.
One of the things they had set up was prenatal departure. Kevin says to Lori, "You don't want me to be honest." Well, this comes back because he says this to Nora multiple times. First, he's honest about seeing Patty, and then later on in Good Day Melbourne, when they have their huge fight, he said, "You don't want me to be honest because last time I was honest with you, you left." So Kevin seems to have this, recurring theme with his relationships.
Self-destructive.
Yeah, a little bit.
But with Lori, it's hard to tell because again, we go back to the whole Tommy situation, and obviously that put a wedge between their relationship.
Yeah, and my biggest takeaway from this episode so far is this whole Tommy situation.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
like I would even go as far to speculate that one of the reasons she went to the GR was because of Tommy's absence.
Yeah.
They really did say a lot about Tommy, and he wasn't, in it that much.
No.
I feel like with very few scenes, they managed to say a lot.
Do you think that because her husband, Michael, did something terrible, and maybe it was more than just leaving. He did, he just left his family. Do you think that she just has, I need to protect Tommy more than I need to protect anybody else? Sure. Because they probably all were on their own for a while too. That maybe that's why she has a closer relationship with Tommy than she does Jill, and why she's more protective of Tommy than she is Jill.
And I think it goes you can even draw the parallels between, this might also explain why Tommy was protecting Christine.
Right.
Why he's on that whole odyssey. Like, in terms of just like, the combination of taking over Kevin in terms of saving damsel in distress, but also from, what he's become aware of what his mother went through.
Right.
And you think so?
Yeah, I think so.
You is it confirmed that Tommy leaves to join Holy Wayne after Lori is in the GR or before?
No. I meant like he sees the parallel between Christine and
sure,
mom.
Yeah. But I just honestly did not know at what point he left.
We don't know.
We don't know. If I remember correctly, the vibe from the book is he leaves college and goes west.
After the event, right?
Now, was it the event or the fact that his biological dad wanted nothing to do with him?
Well, he saw the people jump off the building at school, right? And that was kind of the catalyst of him heading in the Holy Wayne direction. So maybe he did start to try to go back to normal day-to-day, go back to college. He's out of the house. That makes Lori freak out even more after everybody departed, Maybe Tommy tried to reinsert himself back into the real world by going to college, and then he had that experience of seeing those people, and then that's what sent him in at the
or he had never fully recovered from his biological dad, just rejecting him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe. But the next point really like kind of circles around to it, which is what Lori was thinking when she saw the mother in the car with the crying baby. In season 3, Kevin tells the story about how he met them, and his car was clipped in an intersection one day, and he gets out to see who clipped his car, and it was Lori and a 2-year-old Tommy in the backseat of a car, not crying at all. So that probably has something to do with everything that's going on and thing there.
Wow. I also did write down that the car lady, the lady, she I believe goes to see Lori in a later episode.
Yeah, and Certified.
That's what sends Lori off the deep end, right?
Yeah, that's what makes her first try suicide, and then she decides to go out to the guilty remnant and say what? Now, I did
say nothing.
I did pull this off of somewhere. After the table read of the pilot, Amy Brenneman and Damon Lindelof walked around Central Park for 2 hours and fleshed out Lori's backstory over the 3 years between the departure and the start of the show, including her profession as seen in the episode. Brenneman says that because Lori is an empath, she felt the pain of the departure particularly heavily.
Oh, wow.
And also says that Patty stalked Lori to get her to join the GR.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the one thing I was thinking about, too, is how up until this point in time, when we see Lori in the first 8 episodes not talking in the GR, she does seem much more sympathetic and empathetic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree.
Like things like the scene of her sitting on the swing, the stuff that she does privately.
Right.
Like I wouldn't have been able to draw a straight line or put what we saw today in this episode and in those 8 episodes. I wouldn't necessarily think those are the same person from a personality standpoint.
Right.
So there's definitely a shift there. Whereas I feel like Kevin, he was almost there already.
Yeah, he's just miserable. He's just not happy, and he might have been that way his whole life. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think his mother died when he was 10. I think we find out later from cancer. Yeah. Bummer. And my last little tidbit is that I put together is Kevin and Patty have the same issue. From we find out at Certified is that they both are very uncomfortable being in a house paid for by their significant other.
Nice.
And Kevin says that basically in Certified as well. Like I didn't like our house. Well, why didn't you tell me it was your house? You paid for it. I didn't want to say anything. And that was a strong connection I drew between Patty and Kevin.
Well, that's why I said, because Kevin probably is resentful that she paid for the house, that she seems to make all the decisions, and Kevin just goes, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, you want a dog? We'll get a dog. You want this? Okay, yeah, we'll get this. Yeah, he just takes the easy approach where he doesn't want to
at his own detriment.
Yeah, he doesn't want to fight. You don't want to fight with Lori. But like this, we've said 1,000 times. The straw that broke the camel's back was the fact when she insisted that they tell Tommy, and that's when he just said, "Okay, enough. I'm out."
We kind of taken away some stature of his in a big way with Tommy, even though he raised him from before he could remember, right?
Yeah, and here's Tommy. Understandably wants to go see his biological dad and say, "Hey, what's the deal?" And Kevin's probably like going, "Hey, I've been your dad for 17 years, whatever. I've been there for you. This guy's he probably wants to kill Michael, just to take him out of the picture, to say so Tommy never goes and and that's you can see why where Kevin's all upset every time Tommy calls him, but doesn't where he calls Tommy and Tommy never answers the phone because
that's a good point.
He's like, is it because did you leave because I'm not your biological dad, even though I was your dad from.
Right. Am I not good enough?
Right. Exactly. So you see, Kevin has a lot of reasons why he is the way he is.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's all I got.
It sets us up for an exciting season finale.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's the title of that one?
The Prodigal Son Returns.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, guys?
No, I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Great episode to talk about. Great episode to chat about. All that fun stuff. But we'll be back next week for the season 1 finale, where you should start watching Leftovers from the season 1 finale.
Yeah, right. Right.
But that's all I got, guys. Thanks for joining us in the chat.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody.
Take care.